This is KGW News at 5.
It's tough hearing, people say that they're sleeping on air mattresses. They're 70 years old. They're missing their furniture. I got, someone saying that they're missing their relatives' ashes. It's tough.
Necessities and keepsakes go missing when they should have been moved to a new home. Thank you for joining us for KGW News at 5 o'clock on this Friday. For months, we've been following the moving nightmares of people who are left waiting for their belongings to be delivered. Mike Benner shows us how a Good Samaritan helped reunite one man with some of his prized possessions.
Back in mid-November, Luke Walls of Salem bought a local storage unit that was up for auction. Walls had no way of knowing what he was getting into.
Oh my God. Everything's labeled, everything is packed, wrapped, taped shut. It wasn't a dump. It wasn't, I don't want this today, I'll come back in a week. This was a life. Freezer. This was somebody's everything.
Walls dug through the stuff looking for a name, and he came across one, the last name of Wildeson. Walls found the Wildesons on Facebook and reached out to tell them he had their things.
I don't want that feeling on anybody. So I made the call, got them their stuff back.
Luke is a Boy Scout. I can't say enough about his character,
Meet Dwight Wildeson. He flew from Colorado to Oregon to pick up the things Walls found in the storage unit. Wildeson told us the last time he saw it was in early October, when a company by the name of East Freight Logistics picked it up for a move from Vancouver to Denver. Problem is, the Wildesons never received their belongings in Colorado.
They kept telling us, well, we've got 21 days to get it to you. And so on the 21st day, we said, well, where's our stuff? And then the phone started to go silent.
This isn't terribly surprising if you saw any of our reports from over the summer. We spoke to a bunch of people who used East Freight Logistics for interstate moves. These people tell us it took months for them to get their belongings, if they got them at all. In fact, there are so many people looking for their things, they've actually created their own Facebook group.
Very frustrating.
Wildeson says intel from the Facebook group leads him to believe the rest of his family's belongings from the move may be in this Northeast Salem warehouse. Judging from this interior photo of the warehouse and the East Freight Logistics semi parked out front, Wildeson may be onto something. He spent hours trying to get inside the warehouse to get a look, but he was unsuccessful. So we gave it a try. A guy who came to the door told us this.
I'll tell him when they come, the customer comes to me, then I'll let him know what the situation is. The reason being is because everything has been twisted and just making it seems like it's something that is not.
What's the truth?
When they come, I'll let them know the truth.
So you will tell the customers, but not us?
No, because I don't know you and you're not a customer.
It is worth mentioning we did email the company for a comment, but have not heard back. As for law enforcement,
I can say we've been communicating with that company, yes.
Detective Joe Cox of the Portland Police Bureau's Property Crimes Unit tells us he is looking into East Freight Logistics. He says the company's arrangement with Wildeson and others is a civil matter. He says proving a crime's been committed isn't so easy, but adds charges could be filed down the road, just nothing yet.
I'm just a local detective, but this is kind of a interstate matter, something that should be held by the feds, and I'm sticking with it because I want to make sure these people get their stuff back.
Dwight Wildeson is hoping for a resolution sooner rather than later.
It'd be nice because I'm tired of running around for this stuff.
He is grateful to have at least a fraction of his things, thanks to Luke Walls, who purchased that auctioned-off storage unit, still chock full of a lot of stuff. In all likelihood, the belongings of people who hired East Freight Logistics.
I have military flags, I have veterans flags, I have medals. I'm keeping those with me until I find the people.
Hats off to Luke Walls for doing the right thing, and best of luck to Dwight Wildeson and the others who are trying to track down their things. In the meantime, law enforcement is providing tips for protecting yourself. For that, you can head to our website, kgw.com. I'm Mike Benner. Now back to you.
In the last week, we saw more people killed and injured in Portland as the city's gun violence continues at a record pace. Today, some community leaders spoke about their efforts to try to turn things around. Tim Gordon has a look at their plans.
More damage to human life this past week in the Bridgeton neighborhood, where a 19-year-old named Keon Brown was shot and killed. This is what a coalition of faith and community leaders is trying to quell. Today, they talked about two key ways and asked for your support.
As I said, we had the two initiative petitions. We hope to get them on the ballot in 2022. That requires gathering 112,080 signatures.
Liz McCanna with Lift Every Voice Oregon says they need help gathering all those signatures to get initiatives on the ballot next November that, if passed, would ban assault weapons in high-capacity magazines in Oregon and would also enact what proponents call common sense gun laws, including requiring all gun buyers to have background checks and earn permits through training. They are initiative petitions 17 and 18. Reverend Mark Knutson says it's not about taking away all guns.
It's about the kinds of weapons that are out there, weapons of war, literally, large, high-capacity magazines, weapons that were designed to take as many lives as possible.
The National Rifle Association disagrees, recently telling its Oregon members, quote, they don't care about the Constitution, your right to keep and bear arms, or your God-given right of self-defense. Police theorize that most guns used in crimes in Portland do not come from legal sources. A recent KGW investigation showed how most weapons used in a crime were either stolen, bought through straw purchasers, or purchased on the black market. But this group says it's about ending an epidemic of death and destruction caused by guns, and that takes not just new laws, but also community. So this Sunday at Pioneer Courthouse Square, a Better Portland rally against gun violence at 1 p.m. with food, music, and community building.
It is to say that we want to live more peaceably, and we want to have safety on our streets.
And yes, you'll be able to sign the gun reform petitions so that Oregonians can have a vote on them next November.
Many of the things that have changed in our society have changed not because government led, but because government was pushed. And in this particular area, we need to push.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Check out this live view of the Oregon Convention Center. You can tell it's ready for the MLS Cup. The spires just turned green and gold to show support for the Timbers. The team's getting ready to battle it out against New York City FC in the finals tomorrow at Providence Park. And that's where we find our Christelle Kumwe tonight. Christelle, it is a noon match tomorrow, but we know some fans have already been there for 3 days.
Well, yes, Laura, but right now it is pretty quiet, or the quiet before the storm, so to speak. But as you mentioned, fans camped out for days to get that wristband, anticipating the big day. Now, the Timbers are very well aware that they are very loyal fans, and with that in mind, they teamed up with a local tattoo shop for a special giveaway for a few lucky fans. To celebrate Portland hosting its first MLS Cup, the Timbers held a special giveaway to help fans remember this day forever.
I won a contest to receive a Timbers tattoo.
Matthew Harrington is one of 3 lucky winners.
I've never won anything in my life.
To get inked up for the day with all costs covered by the team.
Yeah, I love the Timbers and, might as well put it on my body.
And so the work began. Tiger Lily tattoo artist Igor Mortis says the winners have a couple of designs to choose from.
If for some reason the client already has this one, maybe they can use this variation.
And now for the big reveal.
There you go. Sweet. Thank you so much, man. That's awesome.
But even with a sweet new tattoo, there was one final touch to add to this experience.
We also got you some tickets for the match.
You're kidding me. Really?
Yep.
Are you sure? What? Oh.
Making it truly a time to remember.
Groovy.
For years to come.
Nice.
Interesting enough, the tattoo artist in that story, Igor, has actually done tattoos for some of the players in the Thorns and Timbers. And as I mentioned, I am back here live at Providence Park. As of right now, it is pretty quiet. But of course, Laura, we anticipate by this time tomorrow, it would be a completely different story. Laurel, back to you.
We hope there's a lot of cheering because they won the MLS Cup. Thank you, Christelle. How exciting. Well, now to a follow-up on what's delaying Portland's plan to open 6 homeless villages. Our team on the story at 6 p.m. wanted to know, is there a problem with the funding? Last week, the city announced its plan to open 6 safe rest villages by the end of this year would not take shape as promised. They'll open these villages, housing roughly 300 people, sometime next year. They've already chosen 3 sites. Officials have long said backlash from neighbors is behind the delay, but last week they revealed another reason. In a statement from Housing Commissioner Dan Ryan's office, they noted restrictions to the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds as another reason for the delay. Those are the federal funds the city wants to use to pay for these villages. I asked Commissioner Ryan about that when he joined me for this week's edition of Straight Talk. What are those problems? What are the restrictions? And are you going to be able to use that $20 million?
The answer is yes. There's just a little bit more accountability to the process. And so there's just more checks and balances and more details to check.